I don't know what happens to Grand Slam with Darby and Moxley. I could see it going either way, but because again, the shows, the pay-per-views at Tacoma, so you think Darby want the shot, but Moxley versus Bryan is probably the money match right now.
That is the money match, and so I guess I'm gonna go out on a limb here, and I know I think enough time has passed. He's been on TV 3 times, so I think I can safely say this. I think Heel Moxley is the best character in wrestling right now.
I agree.
Yeah, after 3 appearances on television, I'm gonna go ahead and just put that out there. But and Adam Page would be like a close second, and I'll be honest, I gotta shout out Jacob Fatu on WWE. He's great.
Always been great. I'm glad that everyone is discovering how awesome Jacob Fatu is.
Yeah. So, and I don't want to make this like a AEW versus WWE. Like, you guys watching this know, JD and I watch a lot more AEW than like anything else. And then of course I watch a lot of TNA, and then for WWE, I only watch like the big shows and I catch clips. So if I'm leaving out WWE Town, you guys can go ahead and, give those guys a shout out too. But from what I've seen, Jacob Fatu is like one of the most interesting people I've seen on television in a while, like for that company. But back to my point.
Can I give you a hot take for Jacob Fatu?
Go ahead.
I think he's the best wrestler with that last name possibly ever.
I don't think that you're wrong about that, because you and I have been watching him for years. Mm-hmm. Like we're not new. Like you were covering MLW for a while.
I made my name as the MLW writer. Like that's how I made my name. So I mean,
I was watching that show pretty religiously, and I actually saw him on the Independence in San Francisco for All Pro Wrestling. Shout out All Pro Wrestling, wrestling there. So I've like been aware of him for almost a decade. So I don't think that's a stretch at all. Now, Roman Reigns, the biggest star of the NOI.
That's not his last name. I said Fatu. I was referring
to
Fatu.
Specifically.
The NOI, you can make arguments up and down of who the best wrestler in the family is. I do think of that family, the entire family, I do think Jacob Fatu is the best. But of the specific Fatus, I mean, I think he blows the doors off the twins, right? I think he's significantly better than I think he's better than Rikishi was. I think that Jacob Fatu is like a generational talent. And I really believe this. And I've been saying this since he was MLW world champion. I'm just I never thought he'd get his crack because of like his youthful indiscretions. So I'm really, again, I don't like WWE, but I'm really happy that he's getting a chance to really, quite frankly, outshine everyone else in that little faction, and people are taking notice. I mean, it's pretty awesome in my opinion.
Well, and the thing about him, and I would say the same thing about Moxley and current modern Adam Page, because I'll be honest, I was bored with Adam Page for a long time as a babyface. Yeah, but now him with the psycho character and the burning down the house. Once they enter the screen, they captivate the audience, and not everybody has that right now. I think those 3 guys, and I'm gonna give a shout out to Gunther too. I think Gunther has that too. But so similar. But right now it's Moxley and Adam Page. I do kind of feel bad for Adam Page because he finally found himself as a television character, and he's in this great storyline. And then here comes Mox, and he goes heel. And I think Mox is now better than him being a heel almost. I probably because of the story, and plus he put a plastic bag on a dude's head and tried to murder him, so that helps. But I mean, that's a good problem to have.
There's a lot of murder. There's a lot of attempted murder going on in AEW right now, which I appreciate as a wrestling fan. So I mean, like, that's okay though to have 2 really awesome heels in a company at one time. Like, I go back to NWA 1989, one of my favorite companies. Didn't draw a lot of money, but the TV was really good. You had Sting and the Great Muta. I'm sorry, you had Terry Funk and the Great Muta, right? You had 2 really awesome heels. You also had Lex Luger, who was really finding his role, his like footing as a heel in the NWA at that time. Like, it's good to have really like over heels. And you had Sid Vicious, like it really started to come into his own. Like, that's a good thing. I like having like, I like saying that, man, we got so many of these awesome heels in this company right now. Now, some of the baby faces need to step up. It seems like Bryan and Swerve are going to fade a little bit, which is good. It gives these heels a chance to really shine. You know what I think this company really misses at the moment?
Omega.
Well, yeah, him too. I mean, like, yeah, they definitely miss Kenny Omega. I was going to say Adam Copeland, actually.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
I think he had done a really good job in a dark period in the company. The early part of this year was a dark period in this company. I think he did a lot to showcase himself as one of the best baby faces. And again, I was very on him coming in. I think that he was able to take his WWE persona and turn it enough to be recognizable, but to find some hooks that worked with this particular audience. And I think he was really starting to get comfortable in that new role before he went too far. Before he went too far with the crazy stuff. So,
brother, you're 50.
Stop you should not. Well, if you're jumping off a cage, land on your chest. Don't land on your feet. That's a bad move.
Hey, so what do you think of the issue with Jon Moxley so Jon Moxley and Darby? I thought had a very good in-ring segment. I think Darby struggles at promos, but I think he did a pretty good job. He's just not a well-spoken guy, and that's okay. He's a quiet kind of like emo guy.
So did his mentor.
Yeah,
like he really is Sting in a lot of ways. Sting was a shit promo for most of his career.
Yeah, definitely. So Moxley comes out and tells Darby that Danielson can't compete at Grand Slam, and so now I want to wrestle you at Grand Slam, and if I win, I get to have your title shot. And then immediately after that,
he said, give me the title shot.
He was
kind of like, this thing. That's what was awesome about that. He's like, I'm not asking, I'm telling you to give it to me.
Yeah. Great. It was like, he said it way more badass than the way I'm explaining it.
Well, who's as big a badass as Jon Moxley?
Come on, I know.
That's unfair.
He's so great. But then shortly after that, Nigel comes out and challenges Bryan Danielson to a non-title match, of course. And then Tony Khan makes the match. Now they are leaving it out like, hey, he might not show up, but isn't that like just a significant plot hole, or am I know I'm not the only one. I know that other people have been pointing that out too. I want to know what storyteller, fiction writer JD Oliva thinks about that.
It is a plot hole. You can work around. Here's the reason why the plot hole exists. They ain't selling enough tickets to justify a match like that for Arthur Ashe. They should not be running the venue. But Tony likes he likes his traditions. So storyline wise, I get it. You got to kick the can down the road. Is it a hole? It could be a hole. Like Bryan, like the way I interpret this is Bryan is not defending the title, so Nigel is trying to make him look bad. And can Bryan show up for this match to begin with when he shouldn't be wrestling at all? Is it a hole? Kinda. It's all going to come down to the day's execution.
Yeah. But if he shows, I mean, like, if he's going to be there, shouldn't Darby be getting his match?
No, because Darby gave it away.
Okay.
I mean, they added the loophole before the segment. Is Darby willingly offered up? Now remember, Moxley doesn't. Now here's the key. Moxley doesn't say, I'm challenging you for your spot. Moxley says, I'm taking your spot. And Darby offers to, will come actually take it from me.
Okay. So he just manipulated Darby, who's a dum-dum, into giving up his spot.
Again, he is literally Sting's mentor. So he's totally following the path of his mentor.
Yeah. Like, Sting was the dumbest babyface of all time.
Dumbest babyface of all time. And Darby, it's believable because I love Darby. My son just adores the ground Darby Allin walks on. He's kind of an idiot. Like anyone who gets hit by a bus because, he's skateboarding, kind of an idiot.
Anybody who falls off a ladder through glass is
kind of an idiot. Right.
Yeah.
Like,
definitely.
And it's the character. So it works with the character of Darby Allin. So I'm good with it. He did give away a world title match, but that's kind of stuff baby faces have always kind of done, throughout the history of pro wrestling, dumb shit. Like, I didn't win this title fairly, so I'm handing it back. So I mean, like, I'm not saying it's good, but I think for what's best for the company, I think it's the right move. Is there clunky stuff in the plot? Absolutely. Had Indiana Jones not intervened with the Ark of the Covenant, they would have opened it in Berlin and Hitler would have died, thus ending World War II.
True.
So sometimes stuff in plots, and here's the thing with the plot. Not every plot needs to be clean ABC, because life isn't clean ABC. Like, characters need to make mistakes. Right. And the way I interpret this was Nigel is taking advantage of Darby being stupid, because Bryan didn't agree to the match. Tony just said, yeah, we're going to do it. And it puts Bryan in an awkward spot where Bryan has to show up because he's not going to lose the title, but like we got a guy talking some shit. So is there some gaps in the logic? Yeah, 100%. Could it work? Yeah. Is it better for the company long term? Yes.
Yeah, I agree. All right, guys, let's get to the chat. I see you guys are blowing up a little bit, so thank you for being here. We already answered that question. No, JD is not going to be watching TNA.
That means I have to watch NXT too. The answer is no. As much as I love Tavion,
I
love Tavion Heights. I'm not watching NXT.
Yeah, I don't watch NXT. So, yeah. All right. Lee Connell says, I feel like anyone who has recorded a podcast has had it happen. It sucks so effing much.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, Lee. You're 100% right.
Yeah. Eli Samuel Rosario, my boy, says, what didn't make sense to me is John Moxley saying Bryan Danielson. Yeah, we just kind of addressed that. Yeah. But if you kind of look deeper into it, I think there was an idea to connect everything, and maybe it just didn't come across that way on television. I get the feeling they will somehow tell that story over time about how it all connects and makes sense.
Excalibur has to say John Moxley manipulated the situation, and Nigel McGuinness took advantage of it. That's the way you have to sell it.
Moxley manipulated Darby to give up his match, and Nigel saw an opening and impromptu went out there and laid down a challenge, kind of like CM Punk did to Adam Page when Adam Page didn't know it was coming.
Which
to kind of pull his Punk card.
That did happen, and that is the way it came off. It came off like Nigel was just running out there to take advantage of it. Which, not perfect.
Yeah, let's see. Dan says no love for smarmy Ethan Page. No, none. Outrunners. JD, are you an Outrunners fan?
I mean, sure. A fan? No. Do I think they're maximizing the most time with a stupid gimmick? Yeah, they got that Fandango energy right now.
You know what? No, I'm calling bullshit on this whole thing. That's Johnny Swinger. It's all Johnny Swinger. They're copying Johnny Swinger, and I respect it, by the way. But I feel like if you're just going to copy the man, that guy needs a booking. Like, let him work that gimmick. Jimmy Jacobs was writing for that gimmick years ago. That gimmick got over in TNA with no fans. Sure did. But I think it would work with those guys.
Is Johnny Swinger still in TNA? I haven't watched TNA in a while.
No, he's been gone for a while.
Yeah, they got it. Okay, dude. Yes, if there's one thing to steal from that era of TNA, it's the Johnny Swinger stuff. 100% make Johnny Swinger the manager for the Outrunners, and I'm in. Sold. Then I'm a fan all the way.
King of the North is here. What's up, King? Said not much to say this week. Hope y'all's weeks have been great. Yeah, I would say pretty good week so far. Not bad. Not bad. Dan says Lexus King is still Pillman Jr., but completely exuding go away heat. Yeah, he's got channel changer heat. That guy.
So how could Tony miss on this guy?
Totally
fumbled the bag. He fumbled the bag. Anyone who talks like that, I just want to kick him right in the